And then the moment I get a lot from my daddy, yeah, bye suckers. I didn't come to this life to hustle. My OGs, my new Gs, my incoming Gs, welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel. I share videos on everything ranging from career, faith, lifestyle, personal development, freelancing, and everything in between. Today's video, I am going to be talking about how freelancing saved my life. Freelancing was my escape from being a broke Nigerian student. Like, it just came through for me at different times. So this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of how I earned my first $1,000 on Fiverr/Upwork. I started on Fiverr and then moved to Upwork without having a laptop. I'm doing this because I know I get a lot of people who are like, when you tell them about, oh, just start, they're like, oh, I don't have a laptop. I need a laptop to do this. I need a laptop to do that. It was freelancing that gave me money to buy my laptop eventually, and I wasn't even consistent with it. Now, as a Nigerian student, I went to the University of Benin, and my parents were really good to me because I had like a monthly allowance that I received from my dad. My mom, I had like a lot of foodstuff. She ensured that I didn't run out of foodstuff in school. So, and then my home was like maybe 300 naira transport from my school. So I just have to come out. So I take like one straight bus and then one keke, and I'm already home. I go there, I get food, I come back. So I wasn't particularly broke. However, all of this were enough to feed me, right? You know, as a student, as a young girl, there are things that you want to get, things around, maybe clothes. You get clothes, but like, I think you get what I mean. Just like having like enjoy more money. I had very poor financial management skills when I was in school, so I was always broke. My sister was in school. She had gotten to school like 2 years before I did, and somehow we had like the same allowance. But somehow my money would always finish, and she would always have to bail me out. Shout out to you, sis. Don't worry, when I grow, I will buy you Lamborghini. First tried freelancing with Fiverr. This was in 2018. You know, I've been hearing about freelancing. I've joined every community that I can find about how to make money online. I started with Fiverr. So on Fiverr, I tried to register in Fiverr in 2018, but it didn't work because I was using a glow sim at the time, and they were not sending me OTP, so I gave up. Again in 2019. So my issue with freelancing was that I was never consistent. So when I was broke, I would try to like get as many gigs as I can. I used to write. I never really learned writing. I just wrote. I wrote on my status, and people were like, "Oh my God, you're a good writer. You should like monetize this skill and all of that." So people would say, "Oh, help me write this blog post." So there was really like little gigs here and there, but I only actively pursued gigs when my money ran out, and I could be on Fiverr today, as attending to messaging requests, sending messages, doing everything, and then the moment I get a lot from my daddy, yeah, bye suckers. I didn't come to this life to hustle, and that was just how I did it. So I tried again in 2019, like towards the end of 2019, and eventually they sent me the OTP. So I registered. I was on there, and anybody who knows how Fiverr works knows that typically the gigs come to you. Unlike Upwork, where you apply for the gigs, on Fiverr the gigs come to you, and then they have this message requests that come in maybe at different time, maybe 12 p.m. You can get like 10 message requests, and the fastest person. But like it was the ghetto. It was the absolute ghetto. In 2019, after I finished my exams, you know, kind of started thinking that, oh, allowance is about to end. What next? So I also registered on Upwork. I got verified. My account got approved. I was on Upwork, applying for gigs on Upwork here and there. Nothing was really forthcoming. Switched them on Fiverr, and then in December of 2019 on Fiverr, I got a request for a data entry web scraping gig. So this was basically to go on the internet, find businesses, complete on a spreadsheet, and it was for $100. I'm like, that's what I did for you. I mean, $100 was like a lot of money in terms of, I think it was when you convert it, it was low. However, and then Fiverr took like 20% cut. So in the end, I got like $80. But however, the value of money then was really good. So I remember I was doing this gig like throughout Christmas because there was a timeline. I had like 2 weeks to complete all of it. I was on my phone. I remember my phone. I had to uninstall all the apps. I was using an Infinix Smart 5 at the time. I had to uninstall like all my apps because by the time I was working on Google Sheets, I was using Chrome to like do my browsing on Google. So I would check on Google, copy, come back to Chrome, and come back to Google Sheets. Like, you know, minimize, come back to Google Sheets, paste what I've copied, arrange the formatting, format whatever I needed to format, and then rinse and repeat. And then sometimes I copy, I come back to Google Sheets. Google Sheets will like I don't know if it was a RAM that was low, it will restart. I will have to like God, I beg you. And then I tried to go back to Google will restart and all of that. But like God, I pushed through, and that's how I got like my first $80. This particular client went on to become like a regular client later on. After that, I got like 1 or 2 gigs here and there. I abandoned it again. I started working in 2020, like doing like something, not something crazy, but I was working, I was getting like a little bit of income, and then I forgot about it. So when it was like, oh, I needed to get more money to do more things, I went back to Fiverr, I went back to Upwork. And at this point, I hadn't really hacked Upwork yet. So on Fiverr, I got another gig to be a content writer, like a content writer. So the thing is, they've created the content and to take a look at the content and create like captions around the content, like social media captions and all of that. So it was for an agency. This agency eventually ended up scamming me. So the idea was that I would be paid $5 per caption or per whatever I write. And it was a lot. So I kept writing and writing and writing. And then this was like in August of 2020. And when I was done, oh yeah, pay me my money now. It became a problem. Oh, can you pay me my money now? It became a problem. So the guy ended up paying me. At the end of the day, I had like 200. I had worked like 200 and something dollars worth of tasks. That was like $280 something. And this guy ended up paying me like only 100. And by the time I took their 20%, it was like $80. I was so pissed. But after chasing my money for like 3-4 months, I just like let it go. I still know this guy, and if you do me, I can come and look for you. But yeah, that's how I did that. And then eventually Upwork started gaining traction. So the reason Upwork was gaining traction was because the first client that I had that I did that data entry web scraping gig for came back on Fiverr and wanted to hire me for another task, this time as a writer. So before it was a VA for data entry, but this time as a writer. So we had a conversation. I was like, oh, because I didn't want to be paid on Fiverr, because then it now got complicated to get your money off Fiverr. So before you could send to Payoneer will send you your money to your direct bank account. But now Payoneer started having issues. They were asking you for verification, passport, all those things that I didn't have. But I knew that on Upwork I could get my money straight to my UBA account or my Access Bank account or whatever. I could get my money straight, right? So what I did was I was working with this client, but I would send them on Upwork you can send like a direct payment link to anybody who doesn't have an Upwork account, and then they will pay you from there. So I did that VA job. I think it ended up to be like around $300 and something. That was like 2021, and altogether like $300 something dollars. And then he was paying me. Eventually, he got on Upwork and we started working together on there. Eventually, so yeah, I eventually got on. I have to on the wrong place. Yeah, so the first client that I had worked with on Fiverr came back and tried to get me like another gig, but this time I wanted to be paid off of Fiverr, because aside the 20% that you would need to, aside the 20% cost that Fiverr would take from you, I was getting my money through Payoneer, and Payoneer then had a problem because before Payoneer could send to your direct account, but now Payoneer needed to. The trouble was too much. You had to verify with your passport that I didn't have. And Upwork was doing this thing where they will let you send like a direct payment link to any client outside of Upwork, and then it can pay you and you get your money on Upwork. I mean, Upwork, I didn't have to pay charges. I think I had to pay like 0.99 to withdraw my money straight to my Naira account, and it really worked for me at the time. So I think total I did about $370 in 2021 with this particular client, and then I moved. In 2021, I was broke again, and I was trying to pick up this skill altogether, like trying to find something to do, right? So I went back on Upwork. I was applying $35 gig here and there, $10, create captions, create this one. I was like writing. But my big break really came when I got a job with a writing agency. So they're an agency where they outsource, so they have like a whole ecosystem of writers where you come in, you pick a topic. So I wrote a test article. They asked me what I wanted. I said $15 per 1,000 words. I got into the system. I got into the gig. They were paying me on Upwork, but they had like a click-up system where you go pick an article you write, and that was really, really how I was able to ramp up and earn money on Upwork. So they had like different topics. I found it like really, really hard to write on topics that I didn't like or that I was not interested in, so I left those. I tried to write 1,000 words every week, and then I really needed to buy a phone. At this point, I'm writing on my phone. I was writing on Google Doc, alternating between Google research on Google Chrome to writing on Google Doc, and it was really so hard. Again, my phone, the RAM memory was low. I was refreshing, but I kept pushing. It was so bad that sometimes I would have to write on paper. Like when I'm doing my research on my phone, I'll be writing every single thing on paper, and then either I use like the voice typing function on Google Sheets or Google Docs to like read out what I was writing, and then it would write it out. I would do the editing, or I would just be typing on my phone. But I was like a maniac. At that time, I wanted to get like a better phone. So what I did was I started saving all the money I was making to get a better phone. So I'll write some kind of gigs. Maybe this week I get like $100. No, not $100. I think my target to get a phone was $200. And I remember I started this gig like in April. May I went to camp. So before then, I wanted to write as much as I could before going to camp, because in camp is a bit different. The work is intense and all of these things that you have to do, right? So I had worked about for like $100 worth. Before I wanted to get was like maybe 800K at that time. I'd worked for like $100 worth, and then I wanted to see how much I could do. So I was writing 2 articles per day, 3 articles per day. I don't know if it's so foul, but eventually like it really helped me. So I got to camp. When I got to camp, I still had like 4 or 5 articles to write, because my plan was that I left the NYSC, but I had done a target. I would ensure that, because Upwork would take about 5 days for them to release your funds to you at that time. So I wanted my funds to be ready for withdrawal, and then when you withdraw, it would take like 3 days to get to your bank account, 2 to 3 days to get to the account. I wanted the money in my bank account when I was leaving camp, so the minute I go home, I was going to get my phone, right? So I was writing on Upwork. I was writing NYSC camp while in Sahid. My phone like this. I was in OBS. I was in OBS, and I went through a lot of camps. I was either in camp clinic or in OBS. So it gave me the freedom to be writing as much as I could. I kept writing on my phone. I don't even know what happened to that phone. That phone there. That phone tried for me. That phone ended its morning. I didn't have a laptop, so I made do what I had, right? So by the time I was done, I was able to come outside. When I got out of camp, I had the money I needed. I got my phone, Redmi 90. Funny enough, I got that phone in 2021. July. That phone still works. I think that's like one of my best Android purchases I've ever made. It still works functionally till today. So I got that in between. I also got like a few gigs here and there. And then the first client that I had on Fiverr that I had came back as like a retained client. So at that time, he gave me like an editing gig that was basically paying me 50,000 naira. So he priced me naira. He went on Google. He wanted to pay like I think $120. So I think he went on Google, and then he did like a bit of conversion and said, okay, he'll pay me 50,000 naira for this gig, right, per month. So I think one of the things that a friend told me was to go and open a DOM account. So at that time, 50,000 naira was $120, $130. So then the friend was like, open a DOM account so that I can be getting these dollars directly instead of using, I think they were using word remit for like the transfer, instead of like transferring it in there. And I think that was like the best advice that he gave me. So I went to Access Bank. I didn't have a Naira bank. So I went to Access Bank because he was using Access Bank and I could use him as a reference. I opened my Naira account. I opened a USD account, and then he started paying me directly in USD. Here's where the game changer or whatever happened. He was still paying me like $120, right? But exchange rate happened. And I think I went from 50K to 70K to, I think by the time we were even ending the gig, it was like over, like I had 70K, but I had like 100K. I did this gig from like towards the end of 2021 to like from maybe Q3 of 2021 to like Q4. No, not Q4, like Q2 of 2022. So in all of these things, all the gigs, the writing, the editing, every single thing that I was doing them on my phone. All of these things that I was doing on my phone. I didn't get a laptop till February of 2022. And even eventually when I got a laptop, it was a different gig, not even content writing. Like the gig I mentioned, there's one of my videos of how I started earning $600 as a HR professional. That was the money that I put together to get a laptop. And then even my freelancing journey has been haphazard. In terms of it has been off and on. Like if I had even put in the work to be consistent, because anybody who has been freelancing since 2018, 2019, they would have made like mad money on either of these platforms. But again, for me, it was a means to an end. It was not like a whole career. It was a means to get money to not be broke for that period and then rinse and repeat, right? So, and I was still able to get like this much. Imagine putting in your energy, your effort, being dedicated and seeing what you can get, especially now that the exchange rate is now like way more in your favor. I eventually got my laptop, and then after buying the laptop, I realized that I haven't even used the laptop as much as I've used the phone that I had at that time that gave me money to get my laptop. So I don't have a laptop. Or these people who want to start content creating journey and like, oh, they need to get an iPhone. Is having an iPhone nice because of video content? Yes. But if you don't have one, you can start with what you have and let that particular one that you have give you money that you need to get the phone that you need. So if you're watching this video thinking that you need a laptop to be a freelancer, a content writer, you don't. Will it make your life easier? Trust me, it will, because you're typing faster, you're doing your research faster, your phone is not hanging, it's not overheating, it's not all of these things. It does. However, you don't have that now. Use what you have. I know people are tired of hearing this, that's what you have, that we have. But that's like the best advice that anybody can give you. Start what you have. Any other thing is just you making excuses and not doing what you need to. So start pitching yourself, start sending out jobs. I know somebody who was a video editor on an Android phone. They will send her somebody that has an iPhone would upload videos on Google Drive. She would download and edit on her phone, export to the highest quality, upload back on Google Drive, and she gets her job done. So I hope this video has been able to convince and not confuse you that you can start with what you have. You don't have to have all the gadgets. You don't have to have everything to be able to start freelancing, start content writing, or start being a virtual assistant. I know that you will now come with another excuse and say, oh, but that was 2019, 2020, things have changed. Things have changed, yes, but the same principle still applies. Start with what you have. All of these things I'll tell you are just excuses that you put in place to prevent you from just starting. It's either a discipline problem or a fear problem. A fear problem you can probably solve. A discipline problem is more innate, and if you don't look for a way to put in systems and structures in your life, you're not going to do anything. I hope you found this video like really helpful. I really enjoyed remembering my past and filming. I haven't freelanced since 2023. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. But let's see what the future will put. I will take you along in my journey if I do eventually decide to go back to freelancing, because again, it's very sweet to make dollars, right? So I think I'd rather make dollars as a full-time 95%, and if freelancing is so stressful. Living from gig to gig is not my way of life. But yeah, I hope you found like this video like really helpful. I will see you in my next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with anybody you think will benefit from this video, and I will see you later. Bye.